Okay, when you hear the word ancient, what's the first thing that pops into your head? For a lot of us, it's probably one very specific, very scaly group of creatures. But today, we're going to dive deep into the ocean to meet the real old-timers of planet Earth, organisms that make dinosaurs look like they showed up just yesterday.
Right? It's got to be this. The T-Rex, the Triceratops, the whole world of Jurassic Park. They are the poster children for prehistory, the absolute symbol of a lost world. But what if I told you that by the time the very first dinosaurs even showed up, some of the creatures we're about to meet were already hundreds of millions of years old?
Just look at this timeline. It completely shatters our sense of what old really means. That enormous bar of pre-dinosaur life, it's just immense. The entire reign of the dinosaurs, from the moment they appeared to the day they vanished, is just a tiny little sliver of the time life had already been thriving in the oceans. Sponges? They were around 600 million years ago. Horseshoe crabs, 445 million years ago. Dinosaurs don't even get on the board until 230 million years ago. These guys didn't just predate the dinosaurs, they watched them come and go.
So, let's get to it. Let's meet some of these incredible time travelers. These are the lineages that have stared down asteroid impacts, survived global ice ages, and weathered planetary-scale volcanic eruptions. They are, without a doubt, Earth's ultimate survivors.
First up, the oldest of our crew, the humble sponge. At 600 million years old, it's one of the earliest, most primitive forms of animal life we know of. It has no brain, no organs, no muscles, no nerves, nothing. But its super simple, porous body is a masterclass in efficiency, just filtering out everything it needs from the water. In fact, these simple creatures played a huge role in oxygenating the early oceans, literally paving the way for all the complex life that came after.
Next, we have the horseshoe crab, and this guy is a true living fossil. I mean, its basic body plan has stayed pretty much the same for 445 million years. But what's really wild is its blood. It's bright blue. That's because it's copper-based, not iron-based like ours. And it has these amazing cells that are unbelievably sensitive to bacteria, which makes that blue blood absolutely essential for testing the safety of modern medical equipment.
And then there are sharks. We think of them as these modern, perfect predators, but their family tree goes back a mind-boggling 420 million years. To put that in perspective, sharks are older than trees. Let that sink in. Their skeletons, made of flexible cartilage instead of bone, have turned out to be one of the most successful and adaptable designs in the history of life, allowing them to survive all 5 major mass extinction events that have totally reshaped our planet.
And you have to hear about the Coelacanth. This is basically the fish that came back from the dead. At 400 million years old, we only knew about it from fossils. Everyone thought it died out with the dinosaurs. So you can imagine the absolute shock in the scientific community when a fisherman pulled a live one out of the water off the coast of South Africa in 1938. Its weird, lobe-like fins make it a critical link for understanding how the very first fish started to make that incredible leap onto land.
So the big question is, how did they do it? How did these creatures manage to outlast the trilobites, the giant sea monsters and countless other species that once ruled the world? Well, it turns out it wasn't about being the biggest, the fastest, or the strongest. It was all about having the right playbook for survival.
And that playbook really boils down to one core idea. Over the vast stretches of geologic time, simplicity often beats complexity. You see, specialized creatures with really complex needs are kind of like high-performance race cars. They're amazing on a very specific track, but they're totally useless the second the road conditions change. These ancient survivors, they're more like all-terrain vehicles. They're generalists, adaptable, low energy, and just incredibly resilient to whatever the world decides to throw at them.
Their whole toolkit is built for one thing: endurance. They have slow metabolisms, which means they don't need a lot of food to get by. Many of them can handle low oxygen environments, which happens a lot during ecological collapses. They're not picky eaters at all, and some, like the sponge, can even regenerate from massive damage. Crucially, they often hang out in really stable places, like the deep sea, which are kind of insulated from all the crazy changes happening up on the surface.
For hundreds of millions of years, this playbook has worked perfectly. They survived everything the planet itself could muster. But now, right now, these ultimate survivors are facing a threat that is completely new, something their ancient toolkit might not be ready for.
And the heart of the problem isn't the change itself. It's the speed of the change. Past extinctions, even the really catastrophic ones, they unfolded over geologic time. We're talking thousands or millions of years. That gave life a chance, however slim, to adapt.
But the change we're seeing today, it's all happening in a geological blink of an eye, just a century or two.
This speed is a whole new kind of evolutionary filter. Rapid climate change, ocean acidification, pollution, overfishing. They're getting hit with everything all at once. Horseshoe crabs are being overharvested for that amazing blood. Sharks are getting wiped out by bycatch. Their slow, steady, patient survival strategies are just a terrible match for a world that's changing faster than they can possibly evolve.
So why does any of this matter? I mean, why should we care about the fate of a 400-million-year-old fish or a 600-million-year-old sponge? Well, because their survival is about so much more than just saving a few weird species. It's about preserving the actual story of life on this planet.
The best way to think about them is as a living library. Each one of these species is like a book, and its DNA is the text, written over millions and millions of years. They hold these priceless records of how life adapts, how our planet has changed, how ecosystems work. And when one of them goes extinct, it's like we're burning a book from that library that can never, ever be rewritten.
You know, these ancient creatures, they're not just old. They are living chronicles of survival. When you look at a horseshoe crab or a coelacanth, you're seeing a direct, unbroken line to a world without humans, a world without mammals, a world without even dinosaurs. They're living proof of worlds long gone and powerful reminders of just how much life is capable of enduring.
So we're left with this pretty heavy question. These organisms are the undisputed champions of survival. They've witnessed continents moving and entire dynasties of species rising and falling. They've endured catastrophes we can barely even imagine. But the real question is, after holding on for 500 million years, can they survive us? Will they have a place in the future of the very planet they've called home for so long?